On Sunday, The Rock, notoriously mum when it comes to politics, for the first time announced that he was endorsing a candidate ticket. He endorsed Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Oh, phew. I thought he was going to go Nader this year.
Welcome to Keep It, Cricket Media's show about pop culture and politics and what happens when they smack into each other at an alarming speed. I'm your host, Ira Madison III, a television writer and Fall Out Boy fan.
I'm Louis Fertel. I'm a TV writer and Jane Fonda historian.
And I'm Aida Osman. I'm a TV writer and alleged comedian.
Let's get into it. In a video he posted on Twitter, he interviewed both of the candidates and made his case for the Democratic ticket, focusing on the need for progress through kindness and respect. And in just 3 hours, the video had been viewed over 2 million times on Twitter. And on his Instagram, he even linked to votesaveamerica.com.
Okay, shouts out.
Here's my question. What is the fascination with The Rock? And by that I mean, I enjoy him as an entertainer when I have seen him. Certainly good at what he does. He appears to be a big, muscular man who is nice.
That's part of it, I think. It's
Yeah,
the actual physical ability to harbor that much mass is insane to me. So that's why I keep going back. But also the seamless transition from WWE to acting.
You have to think about how many millions of Americans watched wrestling, especially during the Attitude Era, where the Attitude Era was the era of big personalities. You know, it was The Rock, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, it was China. You know, it was Triple H becoming the Erica Kane of wrestling, as I called him the other week, marrying into the McMahon family, giving you soap opera, so like the way that you can imagine Susan Lucci, Deirdre Hall, being chased down like in malls, like you've seen Soap Dish too, like Sally Field, playing Celeste, like the fans watching it. You were watching The Rock like multiple times a week, and you were getting invested in these storylines, and for him to be an amazing wrestler, to also have an incredible sense of humor, to also be
considerably attractive,
a good enough act. Yeah, hot.
Yeah, let's
and
just say
don't forget ethnically ambiguous Louis.
True.
Okay? Because he is black
the real
and
money
Samoan.
Maker.
He's black and Samoan, but, as the GQ profile with Katie Weaver said in 2017, a lot of people look at him and they're like, what, are you Greek or something? So like white people could look at him and like sort of like pretend he was white like them too, like black people could be like, that's me, so like Samoan people knew he was them, so it was like, it was easy enough to have The Rock become an avatar for so many things that you felt, much in the way that Oprah became an avatar for how you felt, because like Oprah, obviously the hard-hitting interviews, like a black woman working herself up from Chicago public television to getting where she is now, like still so much of the Oprah fandom and cult of Oprah just comes from, like feeling like she is your friend, watching her every day. It is been so interesting watching this transition, because like the cult of personality around him is almost similar to, the one that was cultivated around Donald Trump. Like a lot of people were wondering, would he run for president, right? And it was right after Trump was elected, so it was like we could end up with another celebrity as president, and he has actually played such a politically neutral persona that it is understandable why so many people like him, because like right now, if he were to announce that he was running for office, we'd have to learn what he thinks about policy, etc. Like right now, all we know is that like he loves the military, and now that he loves Biden and Harris, and it's like, I don't want to understate how fantastic it is that he did come out to support Biden and Harris, but I also want to let people know that it is not as groundbreaking, as like if he had done it for Hillary, You know, this is something where it's like now it is literally like you're facing evil. So you got to make a choice, you know. But
he chose not an electrical fire.
Yeah,
right.
But you know, I just think about how he has been able to, you know, maneuver his way through all this for years. You know, like you brought up like kids loving him. Like, yes, when I was a teenager, like, you know, like everyone was talking about, do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
What the Rock is cooking.
You know, but like adults were watching this, you know, like it was children and adults were asking if you smell what the Rock was cooking at graduations, at weddings, at funerals. And
it was that ubiquitous? Are you being serious?
No, it was
everywhere.
Ubiquitous.
It was everywhere.
It was every fucking where. It was.
I was very
slogan.
aware of him, and I was not a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
I want to push back on you saying that he maneuvered through being politically neutral. I mean, face it, he's not somebody that people expect. Like, he's a man, a famous man in a way where people don't expect him to have to be political. Or if he is political, I think he's probably going to get less flack for it. You know?
No, I'm saying he did maneuver his way because, first of all, the way that he got his catchphrase, "You smell what the Rock is cooking," is weirdly in a WrestleMania where he is interviewed by Jennifer Flowers.
Oh my God.
And there are jokes about like, well, would you ever want to be leader? Like, what would you do if you like were in the White House, you know? And it was just ways for him to make jokes about how like hung juries and, you know, like make like oral sex jokes because it's post Lewinsky and also Jennifer Flowers, you know, had the affair with Clinton too. So it was like ways to make jokes about it. And then years later, if you recall, The Rock spoke at the 2000 Republican National Convention, and he comes out and he's doing the Rock shtick, and everyone is like cheering insanely, which is always so funny when Republicans are like, oh, they're trucking out all these celebrities. I'm like, you were all fucking salivating and coming in your pants over The Rock doing the Rock shtick on stage at the Republican National Convention. But what's interesting about when he did that is there's an interview before on C-SPAN, and then even when he's up there speaking, he never says to vote Republican. He urges people to go out and register to vote, and he urges his young fans who watch him wrestling every week to go out and vote. And there's even an interview where he says, you know, I'm not here to, you know, say whether people should support the Republican candidate or the Democratic candidate. I just think that people should go and register to vote and get their voice heard.
Isn't necessarily, well, vote for the Democratic candidate or the Republican candidate, as much as it is just get out there and exercise your right to vote, get out there and register to vote. And, you know, in the voting booth, whether you're the billionaire or whether you're the garbage man, you're equal and your vote does count.
So I think that this is a man who has shrewdly towed the line of not upsetting any of his fans on either side, because I know that he knows that, like, one, like a lot of black people and shit like watch wrestling, you know, and that is the heart of the Democratic base. But a lot of racist ass people watch it too. And also Vince McMahon, you know, running the WWE empire.
Is it okay if I call that both shrewd and unimpressive? Like if you
And
go to
bullshit,
the Republican, if you go to the Republican National Convention, I don't give a fuck.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't find it impressive. I'm just saying that maybe the reason people love him so much is he is one of the people who has been able to do that without being called out as, you know, like being like a racist or something, you know? Like it hasn't affected him. And it would be weird, I think, for someone to like go on a rant about how like The Rock is what's wrong with this country, you know?
He did exactly what The Rock should have done in the situation, is what you're saying. But also it's like, I personally am not interested in him supporting Joe Biden and Kamala without like a clear condemnation of Trump, because he pretty much goes, yes, I'm a centrist, I'm in the middle, I've been independent my whole life, but then makes it sound like he voted for Trump in the last election, almost like without ever saying it, is what I can kind of deduce from the video when he's talking about it. It just felt like a clever way to get around the fact that he feels like, I messed up before and now here I'm going for Biden.
Absolutely. You know, I love The Rock, but I would say that this is something to pay attention to, you know, because it is definitely becoming a blueprint for how you can support sort of like the side that's right and still sort of dip your toes in the other side. You know, it's very Lincoln Project, you know, being like, we got to get Trump out of office, you know, but whereas you notice the Lincoln Project ain't been saying shit about this Supreme Court nominee because they are Republicans.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like it's the same shit of like them trying to make jokes about Trump's tax returns on Twitter, and it's like, I'm sorry, everyone involved at the Lincoln Project helped create the Bush era tax cuts.
If he really gets people to go out there and vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, like I am excited by it. But I agree with Aida. It's just without the condemnation, it doesn't feel like he's the quote unquote going big, as he said. It seems like a lot of talk and a lot of chest puffing.